Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking, all right? So shout out to everybody who is in the building early. It's good to see each and every one of you. I appreciate you guys. Y'all could be anywhere in the world, but y'all are here. So shout out to y'all, man. I definitely thank you all for being here. If you guys can hear me okay and everything is looking good on the screen, please give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji in the chat. If you guys cannot hear me or see me for whatever reason, please give me a thumbs down or an angry face. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to shout out everybody that's in the building early, all right? Shout out to Al McCowan. Shout out to Sybil. Shout out to Miss Nisi. Shout out to the specialist. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Make sure y'all show Brooklyn Queen some love for being a like enforcer. And also make sure y'all show Miss Nisi some love for enforcing that spam. Shout out to my man, the specialist. Shout out to Dark Star of R over on Twitch. If y'all not subscribed over on Twitch, make sure y'all take a moment, go over there and sub. Shout out to my man, Shaka. What's good with it, bro? Good to see you as always. Shout out to DSB. Shout out to Caldona. Shout out to Betterworth. What's good with it, bro? And that is it, man. So shout out to everybody, man. It's good to see y'all. All right. So what we about to do is we about to go into this part 2 of the quote unquote Black voter monolith, the truth about Black voter trends. All right. And this might end up having a part 3, depending on how far I'm able to get. I only got limited time, especially like right now. So I'm gonna try to get through as much as I can. And if we are not able to complete it, then we'll just do a part 3 at some point tomorrow and try to wrap this up. All right. Also, the yellow $sign, the first one. So as you guys know, it's on members only temporarily. I didn't say anything ridiculous. So hopefully they should green $sign it at some point. And then once they green $sign it, it'll be available for replay on YouTube. But as you guys know, on Rumble, it's always available for replay. All right. So what we about to do is we about to take a listen to 2 news clips from MSNBC first, okay? After we get through with these 2 news clips from MSNBC, we're going to try to quickly go over this Pew Research study because they have some interesting statistics and demographics about Black voters. And we need to answer some questions because, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, if we're going to deal with this monolith issue, we got to actually figure out this monolith issue. I've said this before. The data suggests that we are a quote-unquote monolith. The way that people get chased down, shamed, attacked for their political beliefs, and there's not like understanding of why people have these political beliefs and political leanings is also indicative of a monolith. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, then give me a thumbs down. Shout out to my man Solo T40. What's good with it, bro? All right, so we're going to check this out real quick.
Because there's something about Kamala Harris. For those who know her, you know. When she hears your story, she carries it with her.
Now, let me ask you guys this. When it came to the Democrat National Convention, how many people noticed that they didn't have any good stories? The entire conference was people coming with horror stories about their life. There was a pattern. We're going to give you a horror story. We're going to terrify you. We're going to link this horror story with if the other political party gets into office. We're going to tell you your solution for that is to vote for us and give us control over these things. and then we'll have a party about it and we'll play some good music and get you feeling good. Did you guys notice that that was the recipe for the entire thing? That's one of the ways that they were able to do that by not mention any policies. It's using psychological tactics, operant conditioning, classical conditioning with positive and negative reinforcement. So they were using fear communication tactics, an on-off button, something like hypnosis. If you guys agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
When she sees you, she truly sees you. She truly sees you. She is the best among us.
That was California congressional candidate Latifah Simon speaking about her longtime friend and mentor, Vice President Harris.
Now, notice how she mentioned about the friendship. Notice how she mentioned about her past experience. But she didn't say anything about Kamala Harris, her plan, or her methods to not only improve your lives on a personal basis, our lives on a group basis, or to improve the country as a whole. There was no recipe, algorithm, or pathway given to be able to do any of these things other than vote for us. Why do you all think that it was designed that way?
The Democratic Convention in Chicago on Wednesday. Simon was one of the many former colleagues of VP Harris who shared their experience with her as both public servant and a person. This week, she joins us.
Now, as far as sharing experience, mainstream media also shared experience of people that work closely with Kamala Harris. How many people have seen any articles that the Washington Post or New York Times may have written about the staffers of Kamala Harris and how long they last in DC? What is the life? What is the political life, the political career of a staffer or someone who works inside the office of Kamala Harris? Do those people tend to stay working there very often?
Now to talk about it, Ms. Simon, thank you, first of all, for joining us. I want to first ask you about your very moving speech. And we both had the honor and privilege to address the crowd at the convention. What are your thoughts about the mood in the arena as Democrats came together to nominate your friend and mentor, Kamala Harris?
Well, hello, Reverend. It is so wonderful to see you. That energy inside that space and that place was something I actually never experienced before, ever. And I've been to a couple of conventions. There was joy, there was music, the diversity, the diaspora of the United States was in that space.
Now, pay very close attention to what she said, right? Out of everything that she said, there was no solutions. Out of everything that she said, there was no solutions. And shout out to Ms. Nisi. They used that keyword, joy. Wooing you with emotions, communicating to you through emotions so that your emotions create a mental mirage, a mental hologram of some type of satisfaction while your needs are not being satisfied. Your needs are not being fulfilled.
I'll first ask you about your very moving speech. And we both had the honor and privilege to address the crowd at the convention. What are your thoughts about the mood in the arena as Democrats came together to nominate your friend and mentor, Kamala Harris?
Well, hello, Reverend. It is so wonderful to see you. That energy inside that space and that place was something I actually never experienced before, ever. And I've been to a couple of conventions. There was joy, there was music, the diversity, the diaspora of the United States was in that space. It was beautiful.
Now, you worked with Vice President Harris for about 4 years while she was the San Francisco District Attorney. From that experience, what can you tell us about her, not only as a prosecutor and a boss, but as a person? Tell us about her as a person.
Well, Rev, I actually knew what we call the DA Harris a bit before she got elected. She came into San Francisco as someone who had been a prosecutor in Oakland for 10 years prior, but she came into San Francisco to work with other advocates before she got elected to stop the pattern and practice of young kids who were being bought and sold on the streets. They were being charged, arrested, and jailed. And those were girls that I was working with.
Now, we know some things about her from her time as a DA, too. Let me know in the comment section what you all know about her from her time as a DA, because this is very interesting, right? And this isn't really what she's known for or famous for. We know her for some other things. So what do you guys know her for? And shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 28 people watching and we got 17 likes. If everybody could take a moment, smash that like button and get us to 30, that'd be great.
And she really wanted to have folks understand these children weren't child prostitutes. They were being raped and they were victims of sex trafficking. I got to know her that way. She ran for DA. She asked me to come and work in her office and build a reentry unit. Rev, she was the toughest boss that I've ever had and the best leader that I've ever worked with. She expects the best of you. If you're going to work for the people under Kamala Harris, you're going to have to come early and you're going to have to leave late. She is a phenomenal leader. I respect her so dearly.
Now, many Americans are taking a fresh look at Vice President Harris since President Biden stepped aside and she was catapulted to the top of the Democratic ticket. Why do you think she's the right person?
Is that actually what happened? She got quote unquote catapulted? Is that truly what happened? She got catapulted. She performed so well that she just skyrocketed past everybody, like somebody who skips a grade in school. Is that what happened? There was a catapulting, or was there a collapse of someone else and she just happened to be standing there? Shout out to Unsung One. Did I miss the dark suit analysis? The Force was with her. The dark side of the Force, the Sith.
For this historical moment.
Okay, we're talking about somebody who was raised, I mean, I'm literally 5 blocks from her house where I live right now. I'm in Oakland, California, raised by a single mother who was working at a public college, sent those kids to school every night, had folks from the...
So you guys heard, right? So again, they just bring these narratives. So she mentioned that's the single mother thing. So we gotta throw some AdSense revenue to Brandon Jamal.
You let him hit it raw. You didn't have second thoughts. Now you're a single mom. Now you're a single mom.
All right, let's go.
The community picked them up and dropped them off. She goes to undergrad to Howard University, goes to a public law school, dedicates her life, her early years, to supporting victims of sexual assault. Are you kidding me? She rises, works day in and day out to the White House. There is nobody more set to take.
Now, as far as single moms go, right? And no disrespect to the single moms. Weren't single mothers some of the people who were targeted in her truancy campaign? If that's true, give me a thumbs up. If that's false, give me a thumbs down.
This country in the direction than Kamala Harris is someone who's worked for her. I know that she loves our families. Literally, like I said in my speech, Reverend, day in and day out, you had Black and brown mothers lining up who had lost their children, waiting only to speak to then DA Harris because they knew that she cared so deeply about our communities. It kills me to look at the stuff that says the opposite. I've worked with her. I know this woman.
Now, having said that, how do you react to the attacks that she's a communist, a socialist, and other things that they've attacked her saying? How do you...
Now, as far as the communist socialist thing, right? Let's deal with those. The quote unquote price gouging proposition. If someone says the price gouging proposition that Kamala Harris has made against vendors or against businesses that sell groceries and blaming quote unquote price gouging for inflation and using the government to control prices, is that not a step in the direction of socialism or communism? I mean, that's actual valid critique, right?
How do you react when you hear these attacks?
You know, it's pretty ridiculous. What Kamala is the epitome of the American story. She's a child of immigrants who came to this country for a better.
Now, how can this woman sit here and say that that's the American story? That's not the American story for every single American. Let me ask you guys this question. No offense, because I know we got some people in here that are immigrants, and y'all know I ain't on that, right? I'm not with the diaspora grift, but this is disingenuous. And those of you who are in there, you all know America is a country of immigrants. All of us are not immigrants. And those of us who are not immigrants are the main ones being basically left out, overshadowed. Not by our own performance failures, but because of our political parties' failures to perform for us.
You know, it's pretty ridiculous. What Kamala is the epitome of the American story. She's a child of immigrants who came to this country for a better life. And, you know, you heard from Mike. Harris. You heard from folks who know her best, who grew up with her. Kamala is a consummate professional who deeply.
Yeah, we also heard from her dad, and they never mentioned that. We heard from her father, who everybody is very curious of, actually. But when it comes to these media outlets that have all of these people, like this woman and her family, they never mention her father. They never mention fathers a lot in most cases. If you listen to this media, you think that there's only one type of person, just women. You know what I'm saying?
Believes in hard work, you get it done, you fall down, you try again. We created a program for second chances based on that very understanding. Let's actually start looking at facts instead of these crazy conspiracy theories about a woman so well vested to do what she's been doing, and that's lead.
Now, as we mentioned, you are running for Congress in California's 12th district.
Well, here's a fact. Let's look at the history of her White House staffers. She seemed to lead them right out of the White House. Let's look at the southern border. She seems to lead people who really haven't been authorized to be here right into the country. Let's look at the economy. Her and Biden's administration seem to lead the economy right into inflation. Strong leadership, just not really the best direction.
Succeed the great Barbara Lee, who I've worked with, and Barbara Lee, who's decided not to seek re-election after 26 excellent years in the House of Representatives. We'd like to have you and your Democratic opponent on in the future to talk about the issues. But can you talk a little bit today about the significant legacy of Congresswoman Barbara Lee, which she leaves both in the district and on Capitol Hill?
Wow, Ms. Lee is just a phenomenal woman, and I'm so happy to have her support in my race. She, as well, has been a mentor to me for 2 decades. Ron Dellums and Barbara Lee set the standard so clear. For this district that centers Oakland, we care about really what the nation cares about. People being able to put food on their tables, folks being able to afford a home, put braces on their teeth.
Now, here's the thing, right? If they care about these things so much, how come they have not provided a clear-cut pathway other than simply vote for us and this will magically occur? They haven't put forth a clear-cut pathway on how they plan on providing this for their constituents. They haven't provided that yet. Somebody make that make sense. Shout out to everybody watching. We got 51 people watching and we got 28 likes. If everybody could bang on that like button and get us to 70, that would be amazing.
Send their kids to school. But I got to tell you something so special about this district. This is a district which is 98% Democrat, and we believe in peace. Barbara Lee has been consistent in her understanding that to do right is to be about those literally tenets of the civil rights movement. And we were, again, agents of peaceful struggle.
Now, I want you guys to pay very close attention to the hijacking of civil rights. Pay attention to that. That is extremely important. Keep this part fresh in your memory, because it's going to be paramount for the next clip that we watch. Civil rights. If I was anybody who was looking from the outside in, and we keep talking about civil rights, and we look at where the Democrats and the loyalty that Black people have given the Democrats has gotten Black people, that in itself would be enough for me to say, I'm not dealing with this party, because this party has literally done nothing for these people that have literally given them their entire support for decades. They have a very bad history of making it pop with Black people. And if they think that I'm going to get behind that and make it pop for the party for decades while I'm sitting here starving, I'm not going to do that. That doesn't make any sense. So again, these are bad flexes, if you ask me.
Follow in her footsteps. You know what you're going to get out of me if you know what you've seen out of Miss Barbara and Ron Dellums. She is a living legacy, and she is nowhere near done. She is going to be working with me, and she's going to have an international footprint. She was the first person to call for a ceasefire on that floor, and I stand right with her.
I remember, among many other things I did with Congresswoman Lee, we were both in South Africa for the first election in 1994 that they'd ever had there. And we were observers together when Nelson Mandela and the African National Congress became the ruling party, and he president of South Africa.
Now, mind you, still no solutions. What did they say there that is telling you how things are going to be better for you next year? Right? Nothing. They didn't say anything. So this clip right here just came out a day ago. All right. We're going to listen to this dude. How many people remember who Justin Jones is? You guys remember Justin Jones? If you all remember Justin Jones, give me a thumbs up. If you do not remember Justin Jones, then give me a thumbs down. Why is Justin Jones so important? Justin Jones is so important because the way that he ties in, quote unquote, civil rights leads back to that last clip. Now, we got to ask this question, civil rights for who? Because all of these things that the Democrats have basically based their platform on, including quote unquote reproductive rights, right? The reproductive rights thing literally comes out of civil rights amendments, civil rights legislation. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. So everything that the Democrats are doing, using to create a pathway to prosperity for other people while we're getting systematically cut out of, that's what they're doing with this quote unquote diversity that they're talking about. And they're using people like this guy here as the face of it, while not really ever talking to anybody who's right on the ground. So let's listen to this. This is going to be real interesting. We got 2 clips coming up.
Representative Jones, it's always an honor to have you on the show. Look, I was looking forward to hearing from you as well as the other Tennessee 3. And I know that you guys were not able to actually speak at the convention because of timing. I want you to share with our viewers some kind of thoughts that you were going to say at the convention.
Yes, well, it is always an honor to join you, Katie. We will continue to lift up the message that states like Tennessee and the South matter, that if we want to build a new nation, we cannot neglect the South, that every state is worth fighting for. And what we saw last year when we were expelled for fighting for common sense gun laws to protect kids and not guns, what we saw was a real threat that Project 2025 and this authoritarian behavior of MAGA Republican extremists poses to this nation.
So again, we're running Kamala Harris versus Project 2025 and not against Trump. And again, remember, make sure that you guys stay tuned, because as soon as I'm able to get some time, we're going to kickstart that Project 2025 series and go through everything about Project 2025, okay, in a series of videos. But pay very close attention. We're supposed to vote for Harris, not for what we're going to get, but just so that the other people don't get in. We need to benefit from stuff too. The way that they're trying to sell voting for them, they're trying to sell voting for them, vote for us just to get the least and not to get what we're telling you is the worst. Okay? Peep game. And also, did you guys hear him referencing the South and all of that? That's important too. Yeah, exactly. Shout out to Kirk. If you guys agree with Kirk, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Kirk says they diluted the message and handed over their momentum for gun rights. If you guys agree with Kirk, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Now let's listen to this.
And so we were going to lift up the message for the need to act with urgency and moral clarity and boldness to address the crisis of gun violence, and also connecting it to democracy, because 70% of Americans, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, are calling for common sense gun laws, and yet Republicans are choosing to answer to the NRA and the gun industry. And so again,
now when it comes to these gun crimes, let me ask you guys a question. Who commits the majority of gun crimes? Criminals who illegally obtain guns, or law-abiding citizens who utilize the laws and checks that are in place to purchase guns legally? When you create more laws, you're not really stopping anything. People who follow the law are going to follow the law. Criminals are criminals because they don't follow the law. So if you put more legal restrictions on citizens that follow the law, all it's going to do is going to deter citizens from being able to defend themselves, and is going to not stop or factor in anything with criminals from getting the law. Let me ask you guys this. When they put in those restrictions for travel from 9/11, was it Americans who did 9/11? Or at least the people who are blamed for it? No. But nowadays, it's doggone near impossible, or very difficult at the least, for an American to get on a plane. It's easier for somebody who came into the country illegally to vote than it is for an American citizen to get on a plane as a result of legislation changes that occurred as a result of people who weren't American on planes. Make it make sense.
That every state is worth fighting in. That, you know, when we say we're not going back, that means leaving no state behind and ceding no territory to these extremists. And that Tennessee is not a red state, but it is a voter suppressed state. And that if we invest in these,
now they keep talking about we're not going back. The more and more I think about this we're not going back thing, the more and more I get irritated about it, because all of these people that they keep lumping in, none of them were here anyway. You're not going back to what? If you were an immigrant and your parents came here, you weren't here when we were going through the civil rights movement and all of that. You weren't here to begin with. So you're not going back where? Where would they be going back to? You're not going back to slavery? You're not going back to the civil rights movement? You're not going back to Jim Crow? You're not going back to where? Make it make sense.
Republican controlled states, we can change. Tennessee has the lowest voter turnout in the nation. If we want to change this nation, we have to get the South, Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina, Mississippi, Alabama. The South is not going to rise again, Katie, but I do believe that it can rise anew. We can build a new South that is multiracial, multi-generational, rooted in racial justice, rooted in economic justice, rooted in women's rights and LGBT.
You hear that? The liberal gift package. The liberal gift package. There it is. All of those people that he just named, what were they going through to this we're not going back era? We're the only people in the United States that actually have a back era that we're still trying to fight to get justice for today, that these people on both sides, the left and the right, keep telling us doesn't matter. We need to get over it. If we need to get over it, then why do you need to worry about not going back there? If we can get over it, y'all can survive being back there, because we sure did. That's how we're here today. So if we need to not worry about this, we need to move on beyond the past. Well, I mean, it's not that bad, right? He hit all the keywords, facts. If you guys heard the keywords, then hit the button in the chat. And this is what I'm talking about, y'all. This is what I'm talking about. My question is, how does any of this help? How does any of what he said provide any improvement for your daily condition? Living the life that you live. That's my humble, sincere, and true question to everybody that's considering voting for the Democrats in 2024.
Turn on the nation. If we want to change this nation, we have to look at the South, Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina, Mississippi, Alabama. The South is not going to rise again, Katie, but I do believe that it can rise anew. We can build a new South that is multiracial, multi-generational, rooted in racial justice, rooted in economic justice, rooted in women's rights and LGBTQ rights. And that's the South we're fighting for here in Tennessee.
And the crowd would have gone wild, as I am. That would have been amazing. So I'm grateful that you took the time to share that with our viewers tuning in.
That's all it was about getting the crowd to go wild. That's it. They had the concert for that. They had the speakers for that, the emotional speakers for that. That's all it was about, was getting the crowd to go wild. That's all it was about. And then once the crowd settles, once the party's over, you go back to your miserable, mediocre, subpar, trapped under a glass ceiling life that they tell you is okay because we all, quote unquote, love each other. It's an illusion. It's a mirage. It's a puddle with palm trees next to it in the desert. And when you get up to it, it's nothing but sand. That's what this is. Shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If you guys haven't smashed the like button yet, please take a moment and smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment and hit the bell. We got 60 people watching and we got 42 likes. If everybody could bang on that like button and get us to 100, that would be great. If you haven't shared the stream, take a moment, share the stream. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, take a moment, subscribe, hit that bell icon twice. All right.
It was your first convention representative. For all of us that were watching at home with a bit of FOMO, tell us how it was to be a part of this
Shout out
historic
to
moment.
Alexandria. What's good with it?
Yeah, I mean, it was my first convention, and as I walked on the convention floor, it was a sacred space. I was thinking about Fannie Lou Hamer, 1964. I was thinking about
now. You guys see what Deneen says? Deneen says they continue to hijack our oppression for others' benefits. I want you guys to make note of what she said. Continue to listen to what this guy says. And shout out to my man Kurt for being the first stream sponsor. Definitely appreciate you, bro. Make sure you guys show Kurt some love, throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Kurt funding the organization.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the march of dimes.
Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
Shirley Chisholm, 1972. I think about Jesse Jackson, 1988. All those who led to this moment and to feel the excitement. You know, I saw.
My bad. I ain't even read the comment. My bad, Kurt. Kurt says class reductions say the rising tide lifts all boats. But what happens when the tide rises and your boat is anchored to the bottom with holes in it? Anchored to the bottom with holes in it and heavy cargo on top of it. We got anchors to the bottom. We got holes in it. The wood is dry rotted down there. You know what I'm saying? And there's a whole box of bricks inside the boat. And the other boat is made out of styrofoam. So just whoop right to the top.
Clips of the Republican convention, and it was so sad to see how less energy there was. You know, having Little John come out, having Michelle Obama who lifted up his new call, when they go low, we fight back. You know, that's kind of the new energy that we felt from her speech, which was a highlight. And of course, the vice president accepting this nomination, the first Black woman, the first Southeast Asian woman, making history.
Nothing for the voter. Nothing for the voter. Nice resume candy for Kamala Harris. No actual candy for your kids' trick-or-treat bag.
And again, Republicans always talk about banning Black history, but they cannot ban Black history when we're seeing Black history being made every day, including on that.
Really? I would say that the Democrats are just as guilty of banning Black history.
Talentless, scandalous, plebiscite, babbling.
Is that what he doing?
Talentless, scandalous, plebiscite, babbling.
Shout out to Torian. Torian says, what I would like to see is those exit polls when the results come in, because many are under the impression that Black people are going to be a huge deciding factor if she wins. I agree. And we definitely going to cover that. We definitely are going to cover that. And shout out to my man, Corey Green. Make sure y'all show Corey some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Corey for funding the organization. Corey says, much respect for calling out these clowns. Facts. And we need to make like very clear the nonsense as far as what they're saying and how false it is, because you know that what they'll do is they'll turn around and try to say that they have a bunch of online influencers and podcasters and disinformation people and bots and yada 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 attacking them when we're showing facts. And honestly, they're attacking us with the same thing: bots, misinformation. You know what I'm saying? And no one's gonna just sit here and take it. You know what I mean?
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the march of dimes.
This is the hardest record out.
Get the money, y'all. There's poor people around.
I'm rich, bitch.
Shout out to my man Betterworth. Make sure y'all show my man Betterworth some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emojis, some ducks in the chat for Betterworth for funding the organization.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the march of dimes.
Silence. I ain't got no money, pa.
Get the money, y'all. There's poor people around.
I'm rich, bitch.
Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
Definitely appreciate it, bro. Betterworth says we're not going back is likely part of a pro-immigration campaign that they plan to kick off after the election, accompanied be social unrest. Yeah, I agree. If you got, and I said that as well. I agree 100%, bro. Shout out to Jay. What's good with it, bro? If you guys agree with Betterworth, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Black woman, the first Southeast Asian woman making history. And again, Republicans always talk about banning Black history, but they cannot ban Black history when we're seeing Black history being made every day, including on that convention hall floor. It was almost like a pep rally for democracy, and the excitement was electric. It was also amazing to see so many young people. I mean, this is really what I want to lift up, is the importance of young people, that we are a party that is uplifting young voices, because that's what the future is about. That is the North Star of our party. And we must continue to center young voices if we're going to continue to transform this nation to what it ought to be and what it can be.
And I'm really glad that you brought that up, Representative, because people like Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, Congressman Maxwell Frost, you and others, this is a sign, is it not, that the future of the Democratic Party is young, strong, and motivated to make sure that change is effected, that keeps all of us safe and healthy and successful.
Trust us. We'll take care of you, because we know you better than you know yourself. And we'll take care of you better than you can take care of yourself. And we'll tell you what's good for you, feed it to you, and supply it to you as well. Matter of fact, you don't even need a brain anymore. We'll do all your thinking for you. We'll tell you what's wrong and right. We'll be the party of female empowerment while not knowing what a female is during a Senate hearing. That's what we'll be for you. Rest easy. Those other people are scary. That's what we're running on. 2024. Is that about sum things up?
Definitely. I mean, young people are bringing an energy that is so needed. You know, we're not just fighting against Trump in this election. We're fighting for what is the proactive, positive agenda that we are going to offer and we're going to give to the next generation who comes up after us. Like, this was really literally seeing the torch being passed. I mean, I was so excited to see my brother Maxwell, sister Jasmine speaking, lifting up our generation, lifting up younger voices of color, lifting up voices from the South, Texas, and Florida. And, you know, we come from Tennessee. I mean, it was beautiful to see. And, you know, Republicans like to joke that we're the party of woke. And I wanted to say, yes, we are woke into their, you know, Project 2025 agenda, trying to bring us back to 1950. And we're saying absolutely not. We're not going back. We're going to fight with everything we have, because this nation is ours too, and we're not going to cede it to their extremism. Because when history looks down on this time, we want to say we were on the right side of history, and when our children and grandchildren ask, we're going to say we did the right thing on our watch to make this nation live up to what it says on paper and to create a multiracial democracy in the face of the fascism that Trump and
I know y'all heard that, right? I know y'all heard that. Now, mind you, this is also the party that they'll say one thing, and then when they say something else and you show receipts that they've said something, they'll take what you've said and said that you're the one that's giving misinformation. You know what I'm saying?
fight with everything we have, because this nation is ours too, and we're not going to cede it to their extremism, because when history looks down on this time, I want to say we were on the right side of history, and when our children and grandchildren ask, we're going to say we did the right thing on our watch to make this nation live up to what it says on paper and to create a multiracial democracy in the face of the fascism that Trump and his MAGA extremists, like my colleagues here in Tennessee, are trying to offer to this nation.
You know, quickly before I have to let you go, I did want to note, as somebody who was watching it being covered all week, I saw myself there, literally. When you compare it to the RNC, you look at the faces. They were young and old, and in between, they were Asian, Hispanic, and Black, and white, and Native American. I mean, it was literally all of America reflected there.
That's the only thing that's important. Just give you that illusion of inclusion. How's everybody's pockets looking? Do everybody's pockets look the same? That's my question. Shout out to Call Obsidian Plays Gaming and Music. Appreciate you joining the membership, bro. Make sure y'all show Call Obsidian Plays Gaming and Music some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emojis, some ducks in the chat for him for starting this.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Definitely appreciate it, bro. And everybody should consider becoming a member. It's only 99 cents. Definitely helps the channel. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Torian. Torian said, Rob, did you read the book, The Grift? These parties play ping pong with each other all the time. It's a tale as old as time. Oh, I haven't read the book, but I'd absolutely agree with that idea of the parties playing back and forth, game of tennis, game of pong with each other. Absolutely. Absolutely. Shout out to Torian. I think, Torian, didn't you do a review of The Grift on your channel, the book? If you did, bro, drop the link to the video for that review that you did in the chat, so people can go and check it out. And while you over there, make sure y'all sub to his channel.
Covered all week. I saw myself there, literally. When you compare it to the RNC, you look at the faces. They were young and old, and in between, they were Asian, Hispanic, and Black, and white, and Native American. I mean, it was literally all of America reflected there. That is the message that is saying from the Democratic Party, is it not? That this is a big tent, and we're welcoming everybody to join in.
This is a big tent that we only have a tiny corner of, and everybody can come in. And as a matter of fact, like you see with the migrant crisis, they'll just put you right in on our part of the tent. They'll just put you right in. You know what I'm saying? You can come into the tent and you can go build your part of the tent right on top of where these people are here. That's fine. Literally, we see that happening with the migrant crisis. So it's not like they're hiding anything, right?
Exactly, kid. I'm getting goosebumps because that is something emotional to see that this is what America is. This is our nation. And, you know, when we look at the two visions, you have the RNC.
Shout out to Jesse for being a like enforcer. Make sure y'all throw some like enforcers in the chat for Jesse. I'm gonna bring this down a little bit. The resolution. Let me see if that'll stop it from skipping like that.
This is a big tent, and we're welcoming everybody to join in.
That is exactly it, kid. I'm getting goosebumps because that is something emotional to see that this is what America is. This is our nation. And, you know, when we look at the two visions, you have the RNC, which represents a less diverse, that is afraid of diverse, that held signs about hate against immigrants. And yet our DNC was rooted in this vision to say that we are a beautiful fusion, melting pot coalition of America. That's what makes this nation so beautiful, is that people can come together who are multiracial, multi-generational.
Shout out to my man TD. TD said, Black voters, Black people, Black men. Algorithm talk. Facts. Facts. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking to this computer. It's zeros and ones. You know what I'm saying?
The multi-faith people who are from different socioeconomic and come together and say, we want to fight to make this nation better because we want the future generations to know that when it came to our watch, we did everything that we could to make it so that it was a nation worthy of giving to the next generation. So I saw some young kids there. I met a young man, I think he's 12, Noah, who was there covering the convention. I was just so excited to meet him. And he was, you know, speaking to all the folks there and talking about, you know, what he believes, you know, and what his excitement is about being at this convention. And so I think we must continue to lift up young voices. And I hope next convention, we continue to see more young voices centered and continue to see a more, you know, a message.
Notice how also what their goal is for the next convention is to see more young voters at the convention, not to see improved results from the policies that we put into place. Do you guys notice that? All we want to do is just implement things that are going to make us look better, but we really can't say much as to what those things are going to do to improve your actual lived situation. That's not really the way to go about things, I don't think. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to everybody watching. We got 65 people watching and we got 58 likes. If everybody could take a moment, smash that like button, get us to 120 likes, that would be great. If you haven't shared the stream, take a moment, share the stream. If you haven't subscribed, take a moment, hit the bell twice. Make sure you hit it twice. Not worth it hitting it once. Only hit it or hit it twice. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it.
That diversity is not something to be afraid of to those Trump extremists, but diversity is something to be celebrated. And so thank you so much, Katie.
Tennessee State Representative Justin Jones, thank you for getting us started and for uplifting all of us this weekend. It's good to see.
Uplifting all of us. Now, here's the question. The real question should be, how are the policies going to uplift us? And what's interesting about it is that when it comes to asking that question about how the policies should uplift us, they never have an answer for that. But then they'll sit there and give us all of these unrelated reasons. All of these unrelated reasons why we should vote for them. The entire purpose of voting is for us to get policies put into place that actually facilitate our ease of access to wealth and prosperity, something that the United States government and the citizens of the United States have in collaboration worked ever since 1776 to try to make as difficult as possible for us to achieve. You know what I'm saying?
Democratic Representative Justin Jones, thank you so much for being here with us.
Excited to be here. A lot of excitement at the convention this year.
Now, how many people ever watched WEC? WEC was the lighter weight divisions of mixed martial arts. And then what ended up happening was the UFC actually absorbed the WEC. and the WEC then became like the very small weights of UFC, like the 125s and all that, the flyweights and all that. There was a lightweight because they did have lightweight. Light was the heaviest weight in WEC. And there was a dude named Ben Henderson. This dude looked like he could be Ben Henderson's brother. Okay. I think Ben Henderson was a UFC lightweight champion for a short time. I think he got beat by Anthony Pettis, if I'm not mistaken. But this dude looked like Ben Henderson. And if you know anything about Ben Henderson, nothing against Ben Henderson. He was a good UFC fighter. But it'll give you some clues as to this fella here. You know what I'm saying?
Is. And listen, you have a tall order. You are going to be taking the stage. You are going to be addressing the convention. What do you plan on saying? And I am curious, did you have a plan, and are you changing it at all as you watch the days pass?
Yeah, so this is my first convention.
Yeah.
And
now
actually,
look at all those empty seats. Shout out to Terry G. Terry G said, look at the room above. Yeah, TD did a video about this. Look at the empty seats.
I wasn't even scheduled to be coming. I'm not a delegate, but I've been on a college tour trying to support Vice President Kamala Harris. Just was in North Carolina with Southern youth organizers as a surrogate, and just seeing so much excitement from young people, a multiracial coalition of young people who believe in the vision of going forward and toward our future and not leading into our darker history of Project 2025 that Trump wants to put, for the rest of our nation.
And he has distanced himself from Project 2025.
Yo, shout out to my man AW1. AW1 sent several cash apps. And, you guys know I don't really keep the phone with me all like that while I'm streaming. So I wanted to make sure I gave him some acknowledgement next time I saw him. So make sure y'all throw some love or show some love, throw some flames, some radiation emoji and some ducks in the chat for AW1, always showing love, funding the organization.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the march of dimes.
This is the hardest record out.
Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
But in terms of the young vote, that is certainly something that is very important to you. And we know that a lot of our voters right now are talking about the issues that are the most important to them. So in terms of the economy and inflation, Trump has a pretty good lead in those in our polls. But abortion is also a leading issue for many voters, and that is a place where Kamala Harris and the Democrats are doing far better.
Now, I want you guys to pay very close attention. How many people would agree that they're trying to couple abortion with quote unquote black issues of voting? And we're going to talk about that later on in the week. We probably won't get to it today. But they're trying to link those things as one thing. And that's a false narrative. If you guys would agree that that's a false narrative, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would not agree and you think that they are the same thing, well, then give me a thumbs down.
Are you hearing, and I guess on your entire college tour, but also from your constituents about what they need to hear on this floor, on this convention floor this week?
Yeah. Well, I'm the youngest black lawmaker in our state. And, last year we were expelled fighting for common sense gun laws. This is an issue that is very important to our generation, ending this constant tragedy of mass shootings, school shootings. That's a big issue we're hearing, fighting for environmental justice, fighting for,
Let me ask you guys this. School shootings, a black issue? I think that's a surviving the suburbs issue. When is the last time an inner city school got a mass shooting occurred there? When is the last time that we need to take time and look at what's going on in Chicago to address the mass shootings at the school? We got 99 problems, but mass shooting ain't one. Hit me.
An economy that works for people, so we don't have $7.25 minimum wage like we have in my state. I'm looking at college affordability, and what I see in this campaign is a candidate who's uplifting the voices of young people, who is listening to the voices of young people. Last fall I was in South Carolina with the vice president on her college tour to fight for our freedoms. We talked about these issues, and I know that when we talk to young people, you don't hear a lot of young people excited about the other side of the aisle, about Trump and his campaign, because it is about this mythology of what America once was, and not talking about what we can be and making this nation a nation that we can inherit and give to the next generation. I'm 28 years old, the youngest in our state legislature, and I don't want to see a fight where my sister has to fight for her reproductive care. I don't want to live in a...
We've gone through the reproductive care thing. You know what I'm saying? We probably will end up going down that rabbit hole again. But here's my question. What does this quote unquote fight for reproductive rights look like? Are people, let me ask you guys this. Are people really getting rejected from the emergency room for having to deal with DNCs for ectopic pregnancies, all like that? Is that really a thing? Is that really happening? Are you getting rejected care for ectopic pregnancies because doctors are unclear if that's an abortion or not? Shout out to Adrian Hicks. What's good with it, bro? We're going to be doing more. I see we're going to have to do like some lessons about like healthcare as a result of the dis and misinformation that the Democrats are pushing as far as medical misinformation, which is hilarious because they were jumping on everybody's case about C-19. But we're going to have to talk about the care that level 4 hospitals provide for C-sections and vaginal births, as well as if an ectopic pregnancy excision is considered an abortion or not. Because they try to use the ectopic pregnancy talking point as the end-all be-all issue of why there would be medical complications with this quote-unquote issue of abortion. That's not the case. That's not the utilization. Before any of these political talks, how many people heard about an ectopic pregnancy? If you heard about an ectopic pregnancy before this 2024 presidential campaign, give me a thumbs up. Now, if somebody's dealt with a miscarriage or endometriosis or something like that, I'm sure these are things that you've probably dealt with, fibroids and different things like that. But if you're not a woman, or if you're not a guy that's married to a woman that deals with these type of health problems, you're probably not going to be aware of this kind of stuff until you're starting to hear about it. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to on TV talking about abortions, these are not the same context. Shout out to Carla. What's good with it, Carla? These aren't the same context at all.
America, where we're banning books, but we won't ban assault weapons that are terrorizing our schools. That's what I'm seeing in my state. And if we don't stop this movement, that's going to be nationalized. Tennessee is a preview of what a Trump presidency would look like for this nation.
Oh, and let me ask you a little bit more about, as you talked about here, the Tennessee 3, as you are known. House member Gloria Johnson is in a race right now to defeat incumbent Senator Marsha Blackburn. Do you feel like there is enough momentum to flip that seat there right now?
I mean, there's so much excitement, and I've really been focusing at the state level because we want to break the supermajority. When they expect.
Now, what's going on with this? What is this here? I don't know what this is. What's going on here? What's happening? What's happening with this? What's all this? This look like one of them whacked out rap videos with Mr. Bentley in it. Y'all remember Mr. Bentley? One of them weird videos with Andre 3000, you know what I'm saying, put his clothes on backwards.
I mean, there's so much excitement, and I've really been focusing at the state level because we want to break the supermajority. When they expelled us, it's because they had a supermajority, so they were able to abuse their power and take this unprecedented step of kicking us out of the legislature. And what happened the very next day? We thought we were kicked out for good, but Vice President Kamala Harris came down immediately the next day to stand with us.
Torian said, shout out to Torian. Torian said, Shaka, he may be getting paid on the back end. Bro, looking at this picture, it's probably a lot more than pay going on with the back end. You know what I'm saying? Judging from that picture, it's probably a whole lot more than pay going on the back end. You know what I'm saying?
Why are you gay?
I'm just saying.
Is calling for democracy, saying that this is an attack on our democracy and we must fight for common sense gun laws that protect kids and not guns. So what we're seeing is a lot of young people running. We have a mother who lost her son in a mass shooting running, who just won her primary, who's running for state house. So we're changing the face of power, and it's going to go from the state house to the White House of what this nation can be.
Changing the face of politics. Now, let me ask you this. There was some criticism from Republicans during this Tennessee 3 that it was a bit performative, what was done. And we are hearing from voters right now that it can't be about talk. We need action. We need real policy, and we need to know how that policy can be fulfilled. In fact, I spoke with voters that said no more broken promises.
Now, this is a good question that she's hitting him with. Let's see what his response is to this. Let's see what his response is to this, because finally they got a good question there, right? So let's see how he handles it.
What are you hearing from constituents and delegates about how Democrats can actually fulfill some of the plans that you're hearing from Vice President Harris?
It's going to take doing things outside of the ordinary. When we went to the House floor, it was not without having tried other things before.
If there's one thing I'm good at, is making things uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to you for allowing me to exploit my strength.
They shut off our mics microphone, so we had to bring a megaphone to lift up the voices of young people, lift up the voices of our constituents, saying we don't want to go to school and deal with the terror of mass shootings. So it's going to take boldness. What we saw from this administration is the first Office of Gun Violence Prevention with the Biden and Harris administration. We saw a civilian climate corps. We see young people's demands being met, and we must continue to do, these bold, progressive.
No, they're not. How are? Let me ask you guys this: how many of you all in the comment section feel that as a result of what was discussed at the DNC, the results of policy over the last 50, 60 years, that quote unquote objectives have been met? If objectives that have been met, then the only response is there must not have ever been any actual objectives for Black people other than to secure votes for us. That must have the Black objective from the Democrat Party must have been minimum party or minimum policy, minimum improvement, maximum voter turnout. That has to have been what the goal and the benchmark were, if they're saying that goals are being met.
Movements forward. That's what we want to see, and that's the excitement we're seeing here. That's what I'm hearing from young people, that they know that this administration that will act, and we must continue to lift up these movements that young people are leading, because it's really young people leading. I just saw the North Carolina delegation. They have more young people than any other delegation here. Over half of their delegation is young people.
The youngest chair ever,
the
right?
youngest chair. I've talked to some folks from Mississippi, young people, particularly from the South, and I just want to say that as we go forward, let's not neglect the South. North Carolina, Florida.
Now, why does this guy keep? Remember what Deneen said. They keep hijacking. Why does he keep focusing on the South? You guys notice he cannot stop focusing on the South.
Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas, the South has something to say. And if we want to change this nation, we have to change the South. And so, in my state, we have a lot of people who lean into this dark history saying the South will rise again. And I believe that's a lie. I believe the South will rise anew. That it's multiracial, multi-generational, pro-justice, anti-poverty, anti-racism. That's the South we're building. And that's the South that I know that Kamala Harris has stood in solidarity with.
And it's really interesting to talk with you, too, and especially as you bring up these issues that are the most important to young voters, because that doesn't always show up in the polling that we're seeing here as well. So thank you for highlighting some of that, and thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for looking at the voice of young people.
Now, let me ask you guys this. How many of you all feel empowered and uplifted by that spiel? Or how many people feel gravely misrepresented? Shout out to TD. TD says the South will rise again with migrants. Right. The global South will rise right over the border wall, which is actually what we see happening. You know what I'm saying? It's actually what we see happening. Now, here's the problem. This is where we get into the quote-unquote monolithism issue. This is a recent Pew Research Center poll that came out on August 22nd. That's 3 days ago. Black voters support Harris over Trump and Kennedy by a wide margin. Now, here's my question for you guys. Why is that still a thing? Why is that still a thing? Shout out to Carla. Carla said the stream was interrupted by Kamala's $10 begging spree. Now, people will come into my stream and call me a grifter, but when you get in the ads asking for more money than I do. You know what I'm saying? And Kamala Harris, all she got is the Cash App, $, and PayPal and Google Pay or whatever links on her on her page, right? TD did a video about that. Shout out to TD. If y'all not subscribed to TD's channel, make sure you guys subscribe to TD. TD is vote red till you're dead. You know what I'm saying? I ain't mad at it. You know what I'm saying? We got couch representing. If you're a couch supporter, you know what I'm saying? Throw them couches in the chat. If you vote red, no matter or vote red till you're dead. If you vote red till you're dead, like what used to be on Kamala's head, then put the red dot in the chat. You know what I'm saying? If you vote red till you're dead, like that little dot that used to be on Kamala's head, then you know what I'm saying? Put the little red dot in the chat. If you couch, shout out to the couch gang. You know what I'm saying? Throw the couches in the chat. Oh, man. But don't let politics tear your family apart like the Kennedys did.
So dumb. You are really dumb. For real. Oh, you are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Oh, man. Just don't do like that. You know what I'm saying? Don't crash out like Cobra Commander.
Idiots! I'm surrounded by incompetent idiots! I've got morons on my team!
Oh, man. So look at this, man. Black voters support Harris over Trump and Kennedy by a wide margin. Black registered voters overwhelmingly support Vice President Kamala Harris over former President Donald Trump and Robert F. Kennedy in the presidential race. So now we got to ask the question, why would that be? And here's another question. If this is the case, what are Ricky Smiley, D.L. Hughley, Steve Harvey, and all of these people talking about? Clearly, they still have a lot of support. So what are they talking about? About 3/4 of black voters, 77%, say that they would vote for or lean towards Harris if the 2024 presidential election were today. Okay. Another 13% say that they would back or lean towards Trump. Just 7% would support or lean toward Kennedy, according to a Pew Research Center survey of U.S. adults conducted August 5th through 11th. This was before the start of the Democratic National Convention. Now, let me ask you guys this. Do you think that the Democratic Convention helped those numbers, or do you think that the Democratic National Convention hurt that number? Let me know what you guys think. And shout out to YGLTB1, always showing big love as always. Make sure y'all show him some big love back. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, some ducks, and some flames, and some money bags, and anything else y'all can throw in that pot in the chat.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
This is the hardest record out.
Cash rules everything around me. Queen, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
Get the money, y'all. There's poor people around.
I'm rich, biatch!
Silence. I ain't got no money, pa.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
YGLTB1 says, one thing I can say with the utmost certainty is this country in particular, there are not that many so-called decent W folks. If it were so, our circumstances would be totally different and restitution would have already been given to us by now. I agree 110%. If you guys agree with YGLTB1, throw some flames in the chat. I agree 100%, which is one of the reasons why, if you ask me, we are our own solution. We are our only solution. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says black voters' support for the top of the Democratic ticket has increased over the past month. So it's increased. So since Harris has become the top of the ticket, it's increased for whatever reason. In July, before President Joe Biden withdrew from the race and endorsed Harris, 64% of voters supported Biden. So now people have come out the gate to bump that support up for Kamala Harris. Meanwhile, the share of black voters who say they support Trump has not changed, and the share who prefer Kennedy has fallen from 21% to 7%. So what it looks like is that a lot of the black support that Kennedy had must have just decided to, you know what I'm saying, we're going to support Kamala Harris over here, the Kennedy people. Okay? Demographic differences in black voter support for Harris. All right, so this is what we need to look at. Black voters differ by age in their support for Harris. While 86% of black voters 50 and older back her, a smaller share of black voters from 18 to 49%, which is 68%, say the same. All right, so as you guys can see, it's the younger people who are starting to look for other options. The young black people are looking at the Democrats like how LeBron James looked at the Cavs and said, yo, I'm taking my talents to South Beach. Like LeBron, I'm taking my talents down to South Beach. You know what I'm saying? These age differences are consistent with those for Biden in an April 2024 survey. Now, this right here is a correlation, if you ask me, that would show some validity to the monolithism. Because Biden, if you take out the least common denominator, Biden and Harris are both Democrats. So what this shows is that the older black voter will tend to lean towards a Democrat. Now, with other factors, maybe being a black woman, they'll support Kamala Harris more so than Biden being a black man, for whatever reason that may be, right? But what this shows is that the larger pattern is that with the older crowd, they're locked in with the Democrats. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man TD Media Group. Make sure y'all show TD Media Group some love. Throw a bunch of red dots. Throw a bunch of red dots in the chat for TD Media Group, man.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the march of dimes.
Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, yo.
TD says, here's my question in the Robb voice. Who is Robb? Who are, quote unquote, black voters, and where is this polling taking place at? In DNC cities? Are they oversampling Dems versus Republicans? That's a great question. That's a great question. One thing with the Pew Research methods, or with the Pew Research Center surveys, they usually give like the research model and the research method with the error margins. They usually give it in a summary at the bottom. So I don't know if they would get that detailed and tell us, but we would be able to have information like what the sample size was, control group, all of that. That should be at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? So now it says these age differences are consistent with those for Biden in an April 2024 survey. However, this is different from the pattern among registered voters of all races. So again, so this shows that black people move in a completely different way than other people. So when Kendrick Lamar says they ain't like us when it comes to voting, you know what I'm saying? That's accurate.
They not like us. They not like us.
They not like us when it comes to voting, because, you know what I'm saying, they don't be voting for Democrats for no reason. You know what I'm saying? They don't do that. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says black voters with college degrees are also more likely than those without degrees to support Harris. All right, so that's where you get into that elitist issue. The college degrees, fraternities, you know what I'm saying, Divine Nine, yada, yada, yada. Alumni associations, Boule, yada, 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 right? Black voters with college degrees are more likely than those without degrees to support Harris. Why is that? Most education institutions in the United States are liberal, right? So you have liberalism baked right into the education. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you don't believe me that you have liberalism baked right into the education, what you need to do is take a good deep dive into how much money the Pritzker family has funded liberal universities in California to do quote unquote gender affirmation studies to create healthcare plans for massive amounts of hospitals throughout the United States to support gender affirmation therapy and surgery. If you don't believe me, do your research, come back, you know what I'm saying? Right? This is a pro-opposing view channel. You know what I'm saying? It's not a monolith over here. You know what I'm saying? It's not an echo chamber over here. You don't have to agree with me. Just be respectful and be logical is the only thing that I ask. And we will figure things out. You know what I'm saying? But you guys can check on that information if you have doubts. I'd encourage you to, as a matter of fact. You might stumble upon some more jewels while you're looking for those. You know what I'm saying? This is similar to the pattern for voters overall, where Harris gets more support from college graduates than she does from those without bachelor's degrees. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Is it because people who have college degrees are more educated? Is that why? They're smarter? Or is it because of the liberalism that's baked into the United States education system? That's the question. That's the question. You know what I'm saying? More black voters view Harris favorably now than in the spring. Why? Because she's actually running for the presidency now? What has changed? Because during the time when she was the president, she had the lowest approval ratings in history for a vice president. Would you guys agree? So what changed? What has changed that Kamala Harris had the lowest approval ratings in vice presidential history, and now she has this steamrolling support behind her for the highest office in the nation? Somebody make it make sense. Does that make any logical sense whatsoever? Where did it come from? What event has changed? What paramount event did she do that overwhelmingly secured everyone's belief in their competency that she has? What's happened? That's my question for everybody. And if nothing has happened, then we got to ask, well, what attributes for this false jump in these numbers? And shout out to everybody. Speaking of jumps in the numbers, we got 70 people watching. Shout out to y'all. And we got 75 likes. If everybody could bang on that like button and get us to 140, that'd be great. So now here it says about 8 in 10 black voters, 79%, have a favorable opinion of Harris, and similar share are happy that she is now the Democratic nominee for president. All right. While the shares of black voters who have a favorable view of Biden and Trump have held relatively steady since July of 2023, the share who have a positive view of Harris has increased. Now, is this mainstream media magic? Got to be some mainstream media magic. Because there's nothing that attributes to these numbers. There's no performance enhancement. There's no event that took place where everybody's life is just 10 times better for them. None of that has occurred. None of that has occurred. Right? Roughly 2/3 of black voters had a favorable view of Harris in July of 2023, which is 65%. And May of 2024, 67%. This share increased to 79% in August of 2024 after Harris rose to the top of the Democratic ticket. So all it took was for Joe Biden to bow out of the race, Harris to get in front. Any type of suspicion that anybody had about Harris is going out the window. And now these people rocking with Harris with no logical jumps, with no rationale. What's the rationale? Some groups of black voters have had particularly large shifts in opinions over the past few months. Women, 67% of women had a favorable opinion of Harris in May, compared with 82% in August. Younger adults, 52% of black voters ages 18 to 49 viewed Harris as favorably in May. By August, 70% did. What changed that made these people's opinions change? Okay. Those with college degrees. Harris's favorability ratings among black voters with college degrees rose by 20 points from May to August, 62 through 8 versus 82. However, the increase in positive views of Harris is not limited to black voters. Her favorability ratings have also increased since May among Democrats and Democratic leaners overall. Now, we should look at that, right? And I'll pull it up. We'll look at it at another time. You know what I'm saying? When we use those keywords, like TD wanted to, you know what I'm saying, put me out there for using them keywords. You know what I'm saying? When I need to do a keyword stream, we'll do that. All right. Shout out to Queen Nile. Make sure you guys show Queen Nile some love, throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Queen Nile funding the organization.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the marching dimes.
Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
Definitely appreciate it, Queen. Now, okay. So now, as you guys can see, more Black voters are motivated to vote now than last month. Why? Because a black face in a high place. That's it. Emotional appeal. That's literally it. What was the other reason? Yeah, P. Burley, blind devotion to the party itself. Yeah. Many voters across demographic and political groups have become more motivated to cast a ballot since July. Why? The why. You know what I'm saying? The why is important. The why is definitely important. It's the most important thing. Among Black voters specifically, the share who were extremely or very motivated rose from 56% to 67% in August. Once again, women and those with college degrees had particularly large increases. 51% of Black women said they were extremely or very motivated to vote in July, compared with 67% in August. Motivation to vote rose by almost 20 points from July to August among Black voters with college degrees. All right. Now, TD was asking about the method. So, like I said down here, here's the research method. If you guys are interested in this, so for people that are interested in this information here, I'm gonna put it in the chat for y'all. All right. Okay, so y'all can reference this if you're watching this video on the replay, and the live chat is in here. Right here, you could turn that live chat on and get the link. All right, I'm putting it in there. And shout out to the people that's in the Discord. All right, I'm gonna put this in the Discord for y'all as well. If you're not part of the Discord, I'd encourage you to take a moment, click that link that's pinned in the chat, and join the Discord. Okay. So there's that. But I think we need to break these things down. We definitely need to break these things down. Now, there's a video that came out, and this video that came out is from Wall Street Journal. Okay? And this video from Wall Street Journal talks about why so many quote unquote young men are leaving the Democrats for Republicans in 2024. All right. Now, if you guys saw the first live stream that I did earlier today, the first live stream talked about how younger Black voters are becoming more conservative. This video, despite the fact that it doesn't discuss race, it discusses gender. Gender is part of that story as well. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. So we're going to check this video out real quick and see how much sense this makes.
New trend.
Now, let me ask you guys this question. Do you think that men could possibly be moving towards the Conservative Party because the Democratic Party, for one, is very blatantly and very outright anti-male? Do you guys think that that could be the possibility? Shout out to my man, Keep It 100. What's good with it, bro? My man, Keep It 100 been dropping some actually really good, insightful political streams. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all subscribe to his channel. If y'all not subscribed, that's the homie, and my man is a good content creator. Make sure y'all show him some love. And yo, drop your link in the chat, bro, so people can go check you out. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna need if TD and Keep It 100 are actually gonna vote for Trump, I'm gonna need y'all to start doing some live streams with the Magatron and the 45 Savage merch. I'm gonna need y'all to do me that favor. Do me that solid. I need y'all to do some streams with the 45 Savage merch and some Magatron merch. How many of y'all want to see TD and Keep It 100 do a stream with the 45 Savage and the Magatron merch? If y'all want to see that, throw some flames in the chat. I want to see it. I want to see the what do you call it? I want to see the revenues too. I was talking about the gender warization of the election, and it's distracting from actual issues. We got abortion on the female side, economy on the male side. We're going to be talking about this coupling of abortion, reproductive rights, aka, very soon, because this is important. Because we need to explore these ideas with a fine-toothed comb. Shout out to, well, he's been 45. That's why it's 45. It'll be we listen, Paul, we gotta stretch the grifts out. We gotta stretch the money making out. As of right now, he's only been 45. There will be a new opportunity for higher priced merch if 47 becomes available. So 47 is on standby until, you know what I'm saying, the election. You know what I'm saying? Because we gotta hit that first 2 weeks of the highest price that we can charge people. You know what I'm saying? And then when the demand goes down, we got to be able to run everything else on clearance. You feel me? You feel me? Now I'm giving you some good business insight here. You know what I'm saying? look at. Now I would say that, you know what I'm saying, this is a jump cut that Keep It 100 would have did, but I can't even blame this jump cut on Keep It 100. This is a video from the Wall Street Journal. You know what I'm saying? That's a jump cut that Keep It 100 would have did. But this ain't, you know what I'm saying? This is the Wall Street Journal that did this. Now, looking at these charts, you can see we're going to give student loan debt forgiveness. You can see how the benefit from the student loan debt forgiveness would trickle down. It's very blatantly obvious. You know what I'm saying? But they're trying to sell it to everybody the same way they're trying to sell that $25,000 down payment. The way that they're trying to scramble people's minds, they're having you not knowing what that they're offering is going to benefit you or how. You know what I'm saying? Let me ask you guys this. How many people are like those tax cuts? If you guys agree with those tax cuts and you're in support of those tax cuts, give me a thumbs up. If you're not, then give me a thumbs down. And shout out to P. Burley. I definitely appreciate it, bro. Make sure y'all show P. Burley some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for P. Burley funding the organization.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
Get the money, y'all. There's poor people around. I'm rich, biatch.
Definitely appreciate it, bro. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I really appreciate each and every one of you. If you all have not smashed that like button yet, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys are not subscribed to the channel and you're watching, take a moment, subscribe, hit that bell icon twice, and please share this stream to your social media. All right, we got 78 people watching and we got 87 likes. Let's try to get the likes to 160. I know we can do it by the end of the stream. See, you guys see how the abortion issue keeps coming up. This is a reoccurrent thing. This is a reoccurrent thing. As long as they have an issue like abortion, it makes it very easy. As long as they have the politics divided by an issue like the abortion, an issue like student loan debt, that makes it very easy for them to bypass any issues that we have related to hate crime bill, related to reparations, any of that stuff. Expect us to still give them the vote and be able to do an all lives matter pandering towards an entire different sub-demographic. Because that's what they're doing. They're dividing the larger demographic into a sub-demographic and then sectioning off that part of the sub-demographic to create an isolated demographic in the larger demographic and using the reproductive rights as the umbrella for the larger demographic, isolating the other part of the demographic. If you could graphically see that in your head taking place, that's what's going on. Paul Banks said, do you believe in reincarnation? I'm going to just put it to you like this.
Ancient spirits of evil, transform this decayed form to Mum-Ra, the ever-living!
That may or may not answer your question.
Who's it?
I think that says something. I think there should be a focus put on that. I think there can be a focus put on that. Why is that? Shout out to Dwayne. What's good with you, bro? I'm going to run this again.
Stacked up different.
Interesting that the old guy, right? Because now that Biden's not there anymore, now Trump is the old guy. He seems to have a better idea of what younger voters are looking for than the quote-unquote younger candidate. Let me just ask a really interesting question. You think that might be because he has kids? Do you think that has anything to do with it? And I'm honestly asking this question. This is a question for anybody can answer. I could be wrong. I'm just asking these things. You think he's got just a better marketing team? A better research team? I don't know. But I think that's interesting. They had all the celebrities, right? They had all the popular celebrities, Hollywood, media complex, but Trump, for whatever reason, seems to have a better inside track on getting directly to the younger male demographic. I think that's really interesting. That's really niche. And it's especially really niche and very interesting that a guy that's an old fossil like Trump has that kind of insight and clarity. Where does that come from? What do you guys think about that? And shout out to everybody, man. Y'all are killing it on the likes. We got 92 likes. We got 78 live viewers. Let's try to get that to 160. If y'all haven't smashed that like button yet, take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment and hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. I don't think that would be that difficult. I don't think that would be that difficult for him. Believe it or not, I think that some of it might actually be automatic. I don't think that Trump would have to do very much work. I think that a lot of people are coming to these conclusions on their own. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to KG. Make sure y'all show KG some love for standing on business for 18 months.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Shout out to my man Corey Green. Corey said, no disrespect intended to the sisters in the chat, but women are inherently foolish and short-sighted, hence the requirement for male leadership. Few exceptions. I ain't mad at that. Yo, if y'all agree with Corey, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree with Corey, give me a thumbs down. Oh, man, Corey chose villainy. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man. Corey said this.
I am the rocks of the eternal shore. Crash against me and be broken.
Oh, man. Corey went full apocalypse. Full apocalypse. You know what I'm saying? All right, so we're going to talk about the economy, right? Because they keep claiming economy, abortion, economy, abortion, right? Economy, abortion. So we're going to talk about the economy.
Brand new numbers on how fast prices are going up. The rate of inflation tells us that. And today we see consumer prices went up year over year, prices by 2.9%. Now, while that remains much higher than when Biden and Kamala Harris took office, this new number is the lowest we've seen in 3 years since March of 2020.
Dante said he went full Skeletor. Ah, just like a woman. Ah.
But the prices are still going up, just not as fast. That's what that means. And Americans are hurting. They tell us every day. Just a couple of headlines now. Financial pressures on American consumers continue to rise, and paying the bills is harder than ever. Are voters supposed to feel joy? Certainly very little joy when everyday expenses like food, gas, housing, energy, even auto insurance and pet food have skyrocketed.
Now, Kamala Harris, her idea of being able to deal with these prices is through quote unquote price controls. Anti-quote unquote price gouging laws. Now, if we look at the economy since the Biden administration has been in office and the macro and microeconomic effects of Biden administration policy is responsible for 40-year high consumer price index and inflation. They've had to mess with the prime rate multiple times this year to deal with this. Would you guys agree? These are factual things that I'm saying. None of this is opinionated, right? How would price gouging stop the prices from being where they are in the Biden administration right now? That's my question for you guys.
Double digits since Biden and Harris both took office. Vice President Kamala Harris has begun to shift her stump speeches to reflect the economy more. And what she says, despite promising to tackle high prices for years, we still have them.
The cost of groceries has gone up. The cost of gas has gone up. It's one of the highest priorities, actually, for the president and for me. Fighting inflation is one of our administration's top economic priorities. For many Americans, prices are still too high, and we still have work to do to address that.
When I am president, it will be my day one priority to fight to bring down prices.
A recent Financial Times poll shows just 1/3 of people saying that they think they would be better off financially under Kamala Harris. NBC News talked to a panel of black voters in Philadelphia and got their take on the Biden-Harris economy. It wasn't good.
What do you care about most right now?
Economics, education, reentry.
What are they going to do for my people that live in the communities where I am from? How can they go into a home and help that family to save their children? We need the funding. We want the help.
If a working class mom who works as a paralegal cannot buy a $2 bell pepper because it's now $5, imagine a mother living on food stamps. Imagine a mother who's making minimum wage trying to feed children.
Now let me oh Lord, man, where did they get these people from? Where did they get these people from? And the thing that I find fascinating is that they put the black label on it. We got a bunch of black voters here to tell you all about all lives matter issues. Where are these poll numbers coming from? Financial Times, Michigan Ross poll, 1,001 registered voters, August 1st through August 5th. Who will leave you better off financially? So again, this is what I've talked about when I tell you about the quote unquote, I was eating better under Trump tribe. It's really hard to argue with the I was eating better under Trump people. I know everybody know I was eating better under Trump person. They'd talk all kind of crazy about Trump. They don't like anybody. But they'd be like, the one thing I can tell you, though, is that under Trump, man, I was eating good under Trump. They can't tell you anything else, but that's what they can tell you, though. It's real hard to argue with that. As much a babbling and insane as it sounds, evidence seems to support it very heavily. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Make sure y'all show Black Free Thinker some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker says price controls are even worse than tariffs. I agree. Especially if it's on domestic companies, right? If you guys agree with Black Free Thinker, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, yo.
Get the money, y'all. There's poor people around.
I'm rich, biatch. Silence. Silence. I ain't got no money, punk.
All right. So let's get back to this.
A recent Financial Times poll shows just 1/3 of people saying that they think they would be better off financially under Kamala Harris. NBC News talked to a panel of Black voters in Philadelphia and got their take on the Biden-Harris economy. It wasn't good.
What do you care about most right now?
Economics, education, reentry.
What are they going to do for my people that lives in the communities where I am from? How can they go into a home and help that family to save their children? We need the funding. We want the help.
If a working class mom who works as a paralegal cannot buy a $2 bell pepper because it's now $5, imagine a mother living on food stamps. Imagine a mother who's making minimum wage trying to feed children. They're killing us without killing us. It's either feed my child or how about feed my children and I don't eat.
God bless her. Steve Moore, economic advisor to former President Trump. Look, I want to make it very clear. The prices likely may not go back to what they were before this administration. I mean, I've had experts tell me that. I'd like to get your thoughts on it as well. So do we have to adjust to a new normal that woman was just laying out if we don't do something drastic moving forward?
Yeah, Harris, it's interesting because if you look at what happened under Trump, Black Americans had the biggest income gains of any president in history. Black Americans did very well. Also, the lowest unemployment rate.
Now, I would have to go back and check on those statistics. I'm not sure about that. But again, reluctantly, right, I can't sit here and deny what he's saying. And the reason why is because ever since we've started the I was eating better under Trump tribe joke, it seems like it's an actual phenomenon. It's not really necessarily a joke. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Moving forward.
Yeah, Harris, it's interesting because if you look at what happened under Trump, Black Americans had the biggest income gains of any president in history. Black Americans did very well. Also, the lowest unemployment rates and the lowest poverty rates ever for Black Americans. And then you contrast that with what's happening today. And that focus group was very interesting. I mean, I hear the same thing when I talk to Hispanic parents.
Now, let me ask you guys this question. You all, everybody that's in here is a consumer, right? There's a lot, and nobody just like buys commodities and makes their own products, right? So why am I asking you that? I'm asking you guys this. I need everybody in the chat to tell me the items that you have seen in the store that have had the largest price jumps and have caused you to spend the most money since the Biden administration. Is it gasoline? Is it toilet paper? Is it eggs? Is it meat? What is it? Let me know the products that have had the highest price jump that you've seen since the Biden administration.
And everybody's really been crushed by this inflation. And you raised a very good point earlier, Harris. You hit the nail right on the head. That yes, the rate of inflation is coming down, but everything's still getting more expensive. And so if you look at just the price of going to McDonald's, if you look at the price of buying meat and eggs at the grocery store, if you look at people's rent and mortgages, those are up in some cases by 25 and 30%. A new report just came out yesterday by the Federal Reserve Bank showing that Americans are having to go further into debt, Harris, because they cannot pay their bills. This is not a good economy. It's an economy that's really stressing out middle class and working people.
What happens if you go into debt and there's inflation at the same time and you're not getting any pay raises? What happens then? How does that work? And they're increasing the interest rate, which means that if you have money that you're paying, that you're borrowed, that you're paying on, like a flexible line of credit or a credit card, the prime rate increases. What happens then? is that leading up to a possible financial crisis, a possible financial implosion?
One of the things I brought up with former President Trump recently in an interview was the fact that counseling credit organizations are seeing a hike, a tremendous hike, and people trying to figure out, well, can somebody help me how to make, figure out how to make my money pay more bills? What do I need to give up? That sort of thing. They need counseling because they're carrying so much debt. They're buying food, groceries with credit cards. So we know people are hurting, and now the people who help them are just overwhelmed with the level of need that's out there. I want to get to this. President Biden, with a rare public outing yesterday, answered this question about the new Democratic presidential nominee, Kamala Harris. Let's watch.
As a candidate in the general.
The issues we've worked on together have made great progress economically. No one calls what we did on infrastructure progressive. It's a good policy. So that's what it's like.
Here's a peek at some of those wildly expensive policies that Biden claims no one calls progressive. The Inflation Reduction Act, which didn't actually do that. Multiple student loan bailouts.
Now, let me ask you guys this. How many people have seen the live streams, the videos that I've done that ask the question, would a Kamala Harris presidency be a Biden era 2.0? Why am I asking that? All of these acts that they just rolled down the screen, I want y'all to watch these.
No one calls what we did on infrastructure progressive. It's a good policy. So that's what it's like.
Here's a peek at some of those wildly expensive policies.
As of today, as of 8/25/2024, the majority of information that is out about Kamala Harris and Timothy Wall's policies are expansions on these Biden era policies. This is undeniable fact. So if the new Harris Walls administration will simply expand on these acts, does that make their presidency Biden era 2.0? That's my question. Let me know.
Biden claims no one calls progressive. The Inflation Reduction Act, which didn't actually do that. Multiple student loan bailouts against the U.S. Supreme Court. He still wanted to move, didn't care about that. The American Rescue Plan, the infrastructure bill, a $1.4 trillion debt increase across fiscal years 2022 and 2023, and slowing leases on federal land for oil and gas drilling. Look, and I also want to point out that shortly after he got into office, Joe Biden declared that the pandemic was over. So continuing to spend money, I don't know what the plan was there, but it hurt us. Steve.
Well, by the way, more people died of COVID under Biden than under Trump, which is amazing because the most virulent strain of COVID happened under Trump. So when Kamala Harris attacks Trump for his handling of COVID, and look, mistakes were certainly made under Trump, but it was much, much worse under Biden. All of those numbers that you've been showing indicate that you had a prosperity under Trump. People's incomes were going up. The average family gained about $5,000 to $6,000 in income, which was a record for the United States. And under Joe Biden, even with the rate of inflation coming down, the average family today, Harris, is about $2,000 poorer than they were when Trump left office. In other words, people haven't gained ground, they've lost ground. Now, Kamala Harris was in charge of two things as vice president. We all know that she was the czar for the border. That didn't work out so well. We had the worst border ever. And she also was one who was in charge of helping bring down inflation. That didn't work very well either. And I'll repeat one other thing because
I didn't know that Kamala Harris was the one who was in charge of bringing down inflation. I wasn't aware of that. How many people were aware that Kamala Harris was in charge of bringing down inflation? If you guys were aware of that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys were not aware of that, then give me a thumbs down.
I think most of your viewers know this, but she cast the tie-breaking vote in the United States Senate, those two multi-trillion-dollar spending bills.
Yeah, I mean, Biden has often said that she's the last person in the room on all of the decisions that are important to Americans. She was there. It's her administration, too. And just yesterday, the campaign, or day before yesterday, her campaign put out that there's no daylight between Biden and Kamala Harris and their policies. So I think it's clear. And what hasn't worked, I would surmise, would be the continuation of what we see now, unless something drastic changes. Steve Moore, thank you.
So this is, one just last point. I want people to really understand that last point that you just made. Kamala Harris is running on the Biden agenda. She is.
This is not false. What he's saying here. I literally just asked this exact same. I just asked you guys this. Literally, it literally is. When they say take a page out of, it's literally a page out of. If you guys haven't watched my videos about this stuff, please, I encourage people, please go back and watch the videos. Please. For your own knowledge. Even if you want to just get a headline of an article and look at the article yourself. Be aware of what you're being sold.
Joined at the hip with Biden. So I guess what Donald Trump should say, if you like the last 4 years, you're going to get 4 more years of this under Kamala Harris. I happen to think it's been a disaster, and I think most Americans do too.
Steve Moore, great to have you in focus. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity.
All right, so there's that. All right, so now we're about to take a look at this article from Market Watch. Got a little bit of time. Looks like we're going to have a part 3. Looks like we're going to have a part 3. How many of y'all, are y'all cool on this, or do y'all want a part 3? I got a feeling that even if y'all say that y'all cool on it, you're going to get a part 3 anyway, but let's just act like it's a democracy, like how the Democrats do. If y'all want a part 3, put a 3 in the chat. If y'all don't want a part 3, give me an angry face. The outcome is not indicative of the chat results. Just throwing that little, you know what I'm saying? Just throwing that little disclaimer out there. Yeah, no. That little disclaimer out there. Just throw that little disclaimer out there. You know, you can keep it 100 with y'all. Now, we talked about this. Didn't hear anything about this at the DNC. What did y'all hear about this at the DNC? Did they say anything about this at the DNC? And if they said anything, what'd they say? They ain't said a damn thing, did they? They didn't say nothing. There we go. Can y'all see that okay? If y'all can see the words, hopefully y'all can see the words. Kamala Harris reveals her plan to fix the housing crisis. Here's who would benefit the most. Younger voters and voters in battleground states in particular consider housing to be a top concern, surveys show. Okay. Now, do you all agree with that? Sky-high housing costs are a top issue for many Americans in the upcoming presidential election, and Vice President Kamala Harris's newly announced proposal to rein them in may resonate with some key voting blocs. Housing costs are at a record high, making the prospect of homeownership unattainable for many renters in the United States. Now, let me ask you guys this question. What does that translate to? What does that translate to? I know what homeownership means. It's more than a financial transaction. It's also more than that. It's more than a house. Homeownership and what that means, it's a symbol of pride that comes with hard work. It's financial security. It represents what you will be able to do for your children. Harris, the Democratic presidential nominee, said Friday during a speech in Raleigh, North Carolina. Okay. And sadly, right now, it is out of reach for too many American families. Now, here's my question. Specifically, when it comes to looking at our demographic, how are we affected by this? That's the question. It's too difficult to build, and it's driving prices up. Ahead of Harris's speech, her campaign on Thursday outlined her plan to boost housing supply, including, look at this, a tax incentive for builders to develop starter homes sold to first-time buyers, and expansion of existing tax incentives for developers to build rental housing, and a $40 billion federal fund to spur innovative housing construction. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How many Black American housing construction businesses are going to be able to build wealth off of the profits of this $40 billion that the government just plans on dumping into this market? That's going to increase the national debt if only held for 4 years by 1.7 trillion, according to studies. The campaign said the effort would create 3 million new housing units over the next 4 years. Harris also outlined her plan to provide first-time home buyers with up to $25,000 towards a down payment. The campaign said it expected the proposal policy to help more than 4 million first-time home buyers over a 4-year span. Now, here's my question for anybody that's in the market of buying a house, or anybody that has a house, or anybody who's planning on undertaking one of these type of endeavors, right? How much help is $25,000 for you? Shout out to the bunker. What's good with you, bro? Is $25,000 going to save your life and make it easier for you? Buying a home feels impossible, especially for young people. You know what I'm saying? Now, shout out to the people in the chat saying BlackRock. Do you think that anybody who's aware of BlackRock, right? Like, she got BlackRock economic advisors. So you already know what time it's on. She know that this ain't going to work. They're advising her more than likely towards unsustainability, so they could use that unsustainability to build the assets of BlackRock more than likely. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. But just trust what we're saying. And if you trust what we're saying, well, then we shouldn't have to explain it to you. Just do what we say. So now here it says younger voters and voters in battleground states in particular consider housing to be a top concern, according to survey data. 91% of Generation Z adults and 87% of millennials say housing is the #1 issue for their generation. How many of you all agree that housing is the #1 issue for your generation? I don't think that very many people agree with that in here. I don't think that anybody in here agrees with that. You know what I'm saying? A February survey by Redfin of 3,000 homeowners and renters found housing affordability is a cornerstone of this year's presidential election, because even though the economy is fairly strong, unemployment is low, and wages are rising, buying a home feels important for many Americans. Redfin senior economist Elijah De La Campa said in a blog post. This is particularly the case for young people who have seen the cost of starter homes increase twice as fast as incomes. What does that say? That's an important economic statistic. That's an important, what do they call it? Key indicator, key factor. The price of starter homes, okay? The cost of starter homes has increased twice as fast as incomes. So if that's the case, then how long will it take you at your current income to be able to buy a house? A lot of stuff they could have talked about at the DNC National Convention. You know what I'm saying? And they chose not to. A majority of battleground state voters also see housing affordability, including for renters, as a problem both nationally and in their own communities. According to a poll of 1,000 registered voters in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, conducted on behalf of the Tenant Union Federation and House US, 2 organizations that support tenant organizing. Okay, so it's not just people being able to afford a house. People can't afford rent either. Yeah, and we talked about this, Tasha. Yeah. If you haven't, go watch my live, some of the other live streams about that. If you guys watch these live streams, you know what I'm saying, hopefully it'll recommend other ones to you. Watch all of them, and we'll talk about that, because that she actually says that because it's for first generation, like you said. Now, here's the thing. In the actual documentation, it says there are provisions for first-time buyers. But the people who are prioritized and get the maximum benefit are the first generation. Shout out to John. John said, well, you know, Rob, online, we make high six figures, 700K to 900K. So easy work for us. Facts. That's why you got that $1,000 a month membership, bro. I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? That's that peer-to-peer business, that vertical integration. You know what I'm saying? I ain't mad at it. U.S. faces a shortfall of homes for sale, record high home prices, and elevated mortgage rates. Housing costs have risen by 110% over the last 5 years. Let me ask you guys this question. How many people's asset portfolios, your investments, how many people's investments have increased by 110% over the last 5 years? Have you seen your 401k increase 110% over the last 5 years? Shout out to my crypto people. I know we have, but I'm asking the other folks. Shout out to my man, John Guillory, for gifting a membership. Make sure you guys show some love, throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for my man, John Guillory, standing on business. And everybody should join the membership. It's cheap, 99 cents. You'll be able to not have to worry about the yellow dollar sign, watch all the videos, not have to worry about Rumble. You know what I'm saying? Definitely helps the organization as well. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to you, bro. I definitely appreciate it.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the march of dimes.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Oh, you know what? I think actually, shout out to John. That actually made the 200th member. We got 200 members, y'all. Let me just double check. We about to take a 20-second time out real quick. And my computer going slow. We ain't gonna have to worry about the slow computer once I upgrade, but oh, you know what? Throw some 200s in the chat and throw some 100s in the chat. We got 103 likes. Shout out to y'all. And we got 200 members. That is what's good. That is definitely what's good. Let me see. Hold on. Let's see here. Let me see here. Oh, no, actually, we got 201. We got 201. That's what's good. We got 201. Let's try to get to 3. You know what I'm saying? While we're try to get to 3. So now here it says housing costs have risen by 110% over the last 5 years, according to Zillow, with rents growing 35%. So now again, all these rises, we have to compare these to your investments and to your raises. Did you get a 35% raise at your job? Did your investment portfolio increase by 35%? And home prices growing nearly 50%. So did you get a 50% increase in pay? Did you get a 50% equity gain or dividend on your investments? If your investments or your raises are not keeping track with the prices and increase in consumer costs, you're losing money. Would you guys agree? You're losing money. So how many years of negative income and negative wealth are people experiencing? Phantom negative wealth that they don't even know that they're experiencing. In addition to, we already have the impacts of the racial wealth gap. We already got the negative impacts of the racial wealth gap. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says housing affordability has deteriorated. What does that mean? It's deteriorated, particularly over the last 2 years. Who was in office for the last 2 years? According to the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta, a family in the U.S. earning a median income of $81,400 would need to allocate nearly 44% of their earnings towards housing costs if they were to buy a median-priced $383,300 home. The Atlanta Fed's data showed. Now, they said this was in a time frame of the last 2 years. who has been in office and running the country for the last 2 years. The very people that are saying that they're going to get you out of this situation, right? The very people that claim that they're going to get us out of this situation. Households that spend more than 30% of their income on housing are considered cost burdened. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How many people are cost burdened? I think that, again, like we're going to have to look at all of this, man. Despite the fact that, you know, the people that want the votes should be the ones breaking this stuff down to justify their case. They're not going to justify their case because they don't have a case. They want you to vote for them for free. If it's getting more expensive based on policies that these people are putting in place, then that means that votes are expensive too. Shout out to DeAndre. Don't put that on Harris and them now. Don't put that on them now. You know that Trump fault. Putting all this bad juju on that good woman. It's Trump fault. You know what I'm saying? It's Trump fault. You know, they're talking bad like that. Who stands to benefit the most from Harris's housing plan? The key beneficiaries of Harris's housing plan will be millennials and housing developers. So let's talk about these housing developers, because they're going to make the big money, because those are going to be the contractors and those are going to be the people that are building the houses. How many Black American builders, how many Black American construction companies, housing development companies, landowners are going to benefit? Massive wealth transfer to where? Massive wealth transfer to where? You know what I mean? How do you meet the need for a number of millennials who are now reaching peak home buying age? Jeffrey Roach, I wouldn't trust anybody's last name Roach, chief economist at the LPL Financial, told MarketWatch. Millennials, now those between the ages of 25 and 43, were the largest group of home buyers in 2023, according to the National Association of Realtors, followed by baby boomers. While existing home owners can tap into home equity in order to buy their next home, millennial renters don't have the same benefit, which complicates their path to first-time home ownership. Those that are coming out of college or just starting their career, those folks are feeling a lot more than the pain of high prices and high borrowing costs, Roach added. Housing developers also stand to gain from Harris's proposal, particularly because they will be able to take advantage of tax benefits. She is proposing the first ever tax incentive for builders of starter homes, which are now scarce in the U.S., to complement existing programs offered to developers. Okay, so again, this is a benefit that's supposedly supposed to trickle down from the business side. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to DSB. I just seen this. Make sure y'all show DSB some love. Throw some flames, some ducks, some radiation emoji in the chat for DSB growing the organization and standing on business.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Definitely appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it. Why haven't they talked about this? Why didn't they talk about this at the DNC? Why aren't the people that are making these videos on YouTube addressing any of this? This is ignoring this kind of information. This is how you find yourself locked out and blocked out. Would you guys agree? This is how you find yourself locked out and blocked out. You know what I'm saying? We are pleased that the foundation of her plan calls for the construction of 3 million new housing units because the primary way to tackle the nation's housing affordability crisis is to increase the nation's housing supply. Is that true? Is that a true statement? Again, I encourage everybody to please watch all of the videos that I've done about this stuff and leave comments on it specifically, because you'll see all the contradictions all over the place. Carl Harris, chairman of the National Association of Home Builders and Industry Group, said in a statement, but any tax incentive to support the production of starter homes must be targeted to local markets and be widely available, he said. Widely available to who? Let me ask you guys this question. Do you know anyone who will be a recipient of this credit that you know in your immediate life? To everybody that's in here. Shout out to John Guillory. Yeah, John Guillory says, where you at, Defiant Lawyers? Yeah. Yeah. But when you look at the Defiant Lawyers, they're part of that automatic Democrat age range that it talked about with the statistical findings, right? The Defiant Lawyers will give you a great YouTube video about WS, about systemic racism. And it'll be great until they get to the blind Democrat voting part. And then it's like, you guys are doing so good. What happened? It's the voter demographic. The data doesn't lie. The statistic doesn't lie. People are biological machinery. There's no escape from human nature. The only thing to do is to understand it. Understanding human nature is the escape of human nature. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says Harris's plan also drew concerns from at least one right-leaning think tank about the use of federal funds. You have to be very specialized. You have to be a very specialized builder developer to be in the subsidized housing business. Ed Pinto, a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, told MarketWatch. The vast majority of builder developers are in the market rate business. It's much simpler. It's not as complex, and it's a lower cost. So you get a specialized group around the country. He added that the chance of actually having 3 million additional units built over 4 years, given the history that the federal government has in making these predictions, is literally slim to none. So what does that mean? That means that it's probably not likely that that objective will occur. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to April and shout out to Late Not Last. To be sure, home buyers are unable to develop in some parts of the U.S. due to zoning rules that are locally controlled. In such areas, local authorities, not the federal government, decide whether they want to allow for denser zoning, which would allow for a higher number of housing units. So we'll get there. What do you think these houses look like? What do you think this stuff looks like? These look like nice sized houses, like what, you know what I'm saying, your parents might have had or what your grandparents might have had? Or do these look like the little boxes that Bruce Willis is living in on The Fifth Element? Toby, my man, your house is only the size of a moving box, Toby. They're going to get us in here, Kobe. Kobe, they don't know where to hide that in here because this place so small, Kobe. Is that what your house going to look like? Kobe, there's no walls on the bathroom. I got to sit up here on this toilet taking a poop in front of y'all like I did when I was on Friday. And Eastdale see me. Eastdale ain't going to come walking down the street now, is he, Kobe? Oh, Kobe, my cousin My cousin Smokey got caught taking a crap on Crenshaw back in the Friday days. Now we going to Floss in Paradise. I don't want the same thing to happen to me now. Y'all like the Fifth Element Friday crossover? Y'all like if y'all like the Fifth Element Friday crossover, give me a thumbs up. Shout out to my man DSB being a like and a ducking enforcer. I appreciate you, bro. Make sure y'all show DSB some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for DSB.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the march of dimes.
Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, yo.
Get the money, y'all. There's poor people around.
I'm rich, biatch.
Yeah, that's why I said Kobe. What I forget. What his name? Ruby something. Ruben something. That was he was Smokey's cousin, but it was in the future. Oh man. So now here it says in Falls Church, Virginia, an affluent suburb of Washington, D.C. Former Mayor David Tarter knows the struggle to address the housing shortage all too well. A common solution in some cities, including Tarter's, has been to require that some new buildings constructed by developers have an affordable housing component, or to provide down payment assistance programs for home buyers, said Tarter, who now leads George Mason University's Center for Real Estate Entrepreneurship. Okay. In one part of Falls Church, he recalled the city allowed developers to build denser housing. Now, this is what we were just talking about with Corbin Dallas. You know what I'm saying? Fifth Element, little floating Chinese food place right outside his window, inside of a box that's the size of a prison cell. That's your new home, which down the line required the city to rebuild an old school to increase its student capacity. It's a nuanced thing. It's called putting people into a box like sardines is what it's called. You know what I'm saying? In layman terms, he noted, but as a local government official, you have to consider things like how my city is going to grow, but such that it doesn't need to grow too fast. Okay. So yeah, man, there's that. Right. So now again, when we're looking at these issues, like we learned from the data says that men are more concerned with economic issues. That could possibly be one of the reasons why the Democrats are losing the black male vote. Now, that being said, why is it that the critique that's coming from people like Ricky Smiley and D.L. Hughley and all of these other people is not addressing any of these issues? How come there was no criticism for the Democrats not addressing any of these issues when they had 4 days to do it at the DNC? Shout out to us, man. Throw some flames in the chat. We talked about more issues in 2.5 hours, technically 5 hours today worth of live streaming content, right? In 5 hours, we talked about more issues than they talked about at the DNC for 4 whole days. No excuse for that kind of level of incompetency. You guys are better than that. Demand better than that. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to y'all, man. We're going to do a part 3. You will see the premiere window up for it. Don't move a muscle. Make sure that you watch this all the way through to the end. It'll take you to the next scheduled live stream. Once you get in there, make sure that you hit the bell. Make sure that you hit the like button, and please leave a comment. Shout out to the stream sponsors, because without the stream sponsors, none of this is possible. So make sure you guys show them some love. Shout out to my man Kurt. Shout out to my man Corey. Shout out to Betterworth. Shout out to Cole Obsidian Plays. Shout out to YGLTB1. Shout out to my man TD Media Group. Shout out to Queen Nile. Shout out to P. Burley. Shout out to my man Kid Gravity. Shout out to Corey Green. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Shout out to John Guillory. Shout out to DSB. And shout out to DSB again. Y'all could have been anywhere, you know what I'm saying? But y'all came here and rocked out with me, and I appreciate it. Part 3 will be tomorrow at some point. Like I said, make sure you got the notifications on. Don't move until you guys get to the next stream. Hit that like button. Hit that bell. And as always, ladies and gentlemen,
walk up in life. Yeah, I'm really talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up, look, walking this bitch like, hey, yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey, I'm really him. Don't believe me? Come and see me. Got 3 wishes from my genie. Now I'm on your local TV. Y'all on tour, got demons. Say she wanna come and see me when I'm in a local city. I'm like, pause though. Please step aside so they can see me. And I in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. On God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. I'm the realest from my city. That's on my knee, that's on Kiwi, that's on mamas. Niggas don't believe me, come and see me. I been dodging all that fake. All these niggas working broke, but I been getting paid. All that know me from the street. Flexing for what feature, that's like every other week. Talk behind my back, I kick my feet up, have a seat. Cause at the end of the day, all these watching me as I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. On God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. On God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up. Look, walking this bitch like, hey, yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey, I'm really him. Hold up.